I got a good Chris Pratt story that I feel like illustrated him, and like he was just like, I don't know, I felt like it was like same wavelength. My girlfriend and I, we were in the lobby of our hotel, and we're going to the elevator. And as we're going, like the guy in front of us is a guy, but he's being like ushered by two people. And there's like a couple of girls like kind of getting excited. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like walking. My girlfriend's like, oh, it's Chris Pratt. And he's like literally 5 feet in front of us. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. We're about to get on an elevator with him because we are also at this hotel. So we are allowed on that elevator with him. This is going to be awesome. So like we get there and the doors open and we're there like same time. And like he walks in and goes to like inside the elevator and goes to the corner and like he's looking at the ground and then he turns around and he's looking down. But like the two guys, as they come in, they're like, hold up, you're going to have to catch the next one. It was like his security. Mm-hmm. They don't want us in the elevator with him, you know? But I'm like, in that moment there, like, just, I don't care. Like, I get it. I understand. He's like this guy's in a Marvel movie. Like, people will probably touch him if you're that close to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it. But like, at the same time, I'm like, oh, I see how it is. And the doors are closing. And that's like when Chris Pratt looks up and like it was a joke. He was joking, I gathered, but he like fake protests, like, oh no, wait. Like he was looking down and the doors are closing. He's like, what? Oh, wait. Oh, sorry. Like as the doors were closing, it was so funny.
He's even cooler now.
He literally trolled us in that moment there. Cause it's like, we're allowed on the elevator too. You don't own the elevator. And then it's like he kind of like agreed with us, but too late. Sorry.
Had I known.
Yeah, the doors were like closing. He's looking down. He's like, oh, wait. Oh. It was good.
And that was the last time you ever saw him?
It was. No, I saw him shortly after in that cartoon.
I have a Chael Sonnen story. We're in Boston. Kyle's there.
Wait, a who story?
Chael Sonnen is a UFC fighter, and I'm a particularly big fan of Chael Sonnen. I've watched like every piece of media he's ever made. Everything he says, he's an expert orator. You know, not only is he a great fighter, but he is, in my opinion, the best trash talker, the best storyteller of any UFC fighter ever thus far. Cool. So I'm in Boston, and he's I see him. He just won his fight. He beat Shogun, a former world champion. He's having a good night. And he's about to take the elevator, and I'm about to take the elevator. I have to go in the same direction that he's going. And I am so fucking starstruck. My sissy pussy ass decides not to get on him because he's probably had a long day. And I never said anything. I never met him. I just saw him. Fuck.
Yeah, your weakness in that moment probably pissed him off even more.
What said it? I didn't hear your words.
Like you're not getting on the elevator with him there?
I doubt it.
Like that bothered him even more.
Now he has a YouTube channel where he makes a couple videos a day, quick things, where he talks about mostly MMA related news, sometimes wrestling because it's a passion. And he takes viewer questions and answers them. And I've thought about putting together a viewer question. His viewer questions, the viewers don't usually do a great job. They don't communicate all the time. They don't talk to them. Sometimes they're just holding up a camera and it's shitty lighting, backlighting and whatnot. I'm like, I should put together a question that will be memorable. Sometimes maybe I'll get it done. We'll see. Sissy pussy hasn't done it yet.
The gayest thing you've ever done.
You don't have a question yet?
I've got a couple. I've got a couple I could ask.
How big is it?
What
kind of questions I'm contributing to the who is it?
I asked Joe Lozon a question I had saved up for a couple of years. I've told this most of it before. We'll do it quickly. I trained MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mostly, a little bit of striking for a long time. I went to Joe's gym, and it was one of the first times I'd ever put them together. I was in a guy's guard, which is basically missionary sex position. I'm the guy in this situation, right? He's on, other dude's on the bottom, legs around my waist. Cool.
So it's like Amazon also.
Okay. And anyway, the guy hits me in the chin, and I am just a little bit like shocked, like awoken by this. And I've always wondered, like, how hardcore was that, right? Like a real fighter, someone like Joe going through a training camp, does he get that stun all the time? Or is it pretty rare? You know, I don't want to exaggerate, but the term I'm thinking of is like, you know, was that like minor little brain damage, sort of, you know, stinger shock guys are talking about? And so I was talking to Joe recently, and he's like, no, Woody, that was probably nothing. And he's like, you just can't generate. He's like, your power, you know, of course it comes from your legs and your butt and the twist of your back, and that's where power comes from. That guy, literally, it was just arm. And they all noticed it. Joe saw it. Joe was with another like real fighter who saw it, and they were like, "Fucking Woody just got popped." And so he saw it. He knows it, and he's like, "You were just startled. You know, you didn't expect to get hit. You got hit, but it was nothing like all the terms I use are too extreme. It wasn't a flash knockout of any some sort. It wasn't one of those like
wasn't even a minor concussion. You were not concussified at all.
Right." You were startled by a fist to the face. and he says that when he had a term for it, I've forgotten it, but he says that often at the beginning of camps, he goes through a phase like that too, where he'll make that mistake because he's not super sharp, and he'll get like, you know, just sort of not even concussed, but like, oh, right, you know, don't do that. If you're in that position in between someone's legs, you're either real close with your head like on his chest, or you're postured all the way up. In between, that's get hit zone. And so he's like, yeah, that happens all the time. But those arm punches, they're not concussion punches. Anyway, got that question answered.
Yeah.